Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Good evening, Winnipeg Jets fans. I'm a little bit sad right now. A little bit sad to be here. It's my first loss doing one of these shows, and it's only the Winnipeg Jets' second loss of the season. As the Jets dropped a 4-1 decision tonight to the Tampa Bay Lightning on the road. Their record falls to 15-2. So bad. So we're here on the Game Over Winnipeg post-game show. 4-1 game. Goals were scored by Jake Gensel in the first period to open the scoring. Brandon Hagel made it 2-0. Anthony Cirelli made it 3-0 on the power play. Adam Lowry got one back to make it 3-1, but that's as close as the Jets would get as they fell 4-1. Jake Gensel added an empty netter. Andrei Vasilevsky was kind of his vintage self to earn his 300th NHL win. And in doing so, he's the first or the fastest goaltender ever to reach 300 wins. I believe it only took him 450 or something 60 games to get there. So major congratulations to him. Him along with Hellebuck are the two top kind of goaltenders, I would say, of this era. Both, Vasilevsky for sure is a surefire Hall of Famer. Conn Smythe, a couple Stanley Cups, and some very impressive numbers behind the Tampa Bay team. So he was kind of first class tonight. I thought the Jets went with Comrie tonight to give Hellebuck a night off with two big games against Florida, Saturday and Tuesday coming up. I was fine giving Comrie this game. Obviously Tampa's a good team coming off a 1 week break. Just however the schedule worked out, Tampa was off for a week. They came out kind of flying. They kind of came out like a team that was rested, while the Jets came out like a team that has been playing every second night for the last 2+ weeks. And it showed a little bit tonight, I thought. But as I said, I thought Comrie had a really good game. I'm not historically the biggest Eric Comrie fan either. He made a couple of terrific saves, couple one-timers, couple point-blank chances that could have gone in, but I felt like he held down the fort good for most of the night. So let's get into a quick ad read before we kind of dive into the game a little bit more. Our title sponsor, Hyperdrive Hockey. Check out the flagship show of Game Over Network on the Game Over Network channel, Hyperdrive Hockey. All things hockey across various leagues in multiple countries, whatever it is and wherever it is. Max, Daphne, and Kev have you covered for all of your hockey news with a steady dose of fun and fan engagement. You can find Hyperdrive Hockey on the Game Over Network YouTube channel or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts on the Hyperdrive Hockey page over at thegameovernetwork.com. My voice, you might notice last game on Tuesday wasn't great. Still not feeling 100%. Just feel like getting over colds and sicknesses are taking longer and longer, now than when I was a little bit younger. So kind of still trying to get over this cold. So bear with me. Let's get into a little bit of the Jets game tonight. Honestly, for the first time this year, I felt like it was a case of kind of the Jets' special teams letting them down, maybe in some senses. Obviously, this was going to come at some point. The Jets obviously were not going to run the table. Nobody thought that. They were always going to come back down to earth in some way. Despite still having a very good regular season, I think. But you're not going to win every game. Tonight's game could have gone the Jets' way as well. I thought 5-on-5 after, early on in the game, I felt the second half of the game for sure the Jets were the better team 5-on-5. Holding their own against a good, well-rested Tampa team. I don't know if the Jets had 3 or 4 power plays but couldn't convert. Weren't even getting, good entries most of the night on the power play. They weren't generating any chances. With the man advantage, you could even make the case, 5-on-5 our first line, Connor, Shifley, Velarde weren't, producing much of anything tonight. They had a very quiet night. I think Same with the second line. I think you could say the third and fourth lines, were our best offensive drivers tonight. They had some chances. Just an off night. I don't think we're not going to get too much into it, as this hasn't really happened too often this season when a team is 15-2. But it's just how it is. The power play, which has been clicking at about a 46% rate this year, failed to score tonight, and that might have been the difference. They got one on their power play, and we didn't. I think the shots were relatively close. I think 29-25 in Tampa's favor. Tampa really came out of the gate strong tonight. You could kind of tell right from the first shift. I thought it was going to kind of maybe go one of two ways. Whether Tampa would be a little bit slow because they had so much time off and they're trying to get their bearings, or would they just kind of come out, guns a-blazing, and that's what we saw, unfortunately. The Jets, I wouldn't say they were tired necessarily, but I think just Tampa was fresher. Got a step on them, and just kind of rolled with it from there. So I'm not going to overanalyze this. It's one loss. It's my first loss here doing these shows, like I said, so I don't know. I'm not used to this feeling. I feel a little bit upset about the game, but at the same time, you can't win every game. It was still it still wasn't. If this is considered a bad game for the Jets, I think we'll take it, as there was a lot of positives. As well, there's things to take from it. It wasn't a game where they got shellacked by any sense of the word. So, let's we'll go to the second period and we'll hit another ad read. LaRouche, Game Over Network is an independent production focused on community, inclusion, and quality people. So if you're interested in supporting the Game Over Network, we have crowdfunding options available. In the description of this episode, you'll find a link to our Patreon page, and we're also working on a page through LaRouche, which is a crowdfunding platform for companies originating in Quebec. For LaRouche, we're aiming to raise $15,000, and if we hit that goal, we'll gain access to government grants that will allow us to employ more people. So as you, the viewer, if you have any ideas for what you'd like to see, either as giveaways from these crowdfunding efforts or whatnot, let us know in the comments on Twitter, Instagram, or our ever-growing Discord server, which I think has around 100 people now, and lots of messages and posts in there daily about everything kind of going on in the hockey world. So please check that out. LaRouche, support us. This is a great network that we have here with a lot of good quality hosts. We're very inclusive, and everybody's welcome, and it's great. I was going to go to the chat. I thought we had a message, but it was just a message from YouTube. I'm looking that we have one live viewer, I think, at the moment, so it's we're still kind of growing, I think, the Game Over Winnipeg page. Even though we're Canada's best team, Canada's best team by far this season, we're definitely not Canada's favorite team with the Game Over Network, as we don't get a ton of viewership compared to our other markets yet. We're growing. We're going to bring on some more people on board. I think the Game On portion of this network is going to kind of continue or grow soon, so stay tuned for that. Kind of wanted to talk now about some of the Jets goaltending situation this year. Was happy to see Eric Comrie get this game, for sure, no doubt. I think that the Jets are going to start to see, Eric Comrie and just our backup goalie play a little bit more this season. In a perfect world, I think you want to see Hellebuyck play, somewhere between 55 to 60 games this year. That gives the backup goalie, maybe 20 to 25 games. In a perfect world, obviously at some points in the season you're going to really want to ride your starter, but this kind of cushion that the Jets have built to start the season, I think is going to help. It's going to help give Connor Hellebuyck a little bit more rest in the regular season. I think we're going to see Eric Comrie a lot on nights like these, and not just kind of the games against the the weaker teams in the National Hockey League. Comrie is showing that he can do that. He's showing that he can play at a pretty good level. I think he's playing just as good as he did when he was here a few years ago, if not better, which is great to see because he had some really tough stints after he left Winnipeg. He was Buffalo's third goalie for a while. He kind of bounced around a bit, even with their American League team over the last few years. So it hasn't been pretty for Eric Comrie, but the team obviously likes him. Hellebuck likes him. He has a lot of friends in the organization, so I think that helped him maybe win the backup role at a training camp. And if he can continue playing like this, I'm as Jets fan, I think you're confident. Seeing him in the net, I think the team's confident in him being in the net. So let's kind of see how that continues. I'm looking at the schedule now. I believe Hellebuck's going to get the next 2 games against Florida and Florida on Saturday and Tuesday, a home and away. And then the Jets play a back-to-back on Friday, Saturday. So whether you give Comrie the Friday night game against Pittsburgh or the Saturday night game against Nashville, you will definitely see him in the net there. And then maybe you give him one of the LA or the Vegas game to end the month on the 27th and 29th to give him a start there. But really impressed with Eric Comrie. He's made a lot of first-class saves. Obviously maybe some of the goals he lets in, maybe Hellebuck gets those. I'm not one to say that or not. I thought it was good that the Winnipeg Jets reacquired Capo Kakkonen on waivers earlier this week from Colorado. He was the person who I think a lot of us felt was going to be the backup going into the season. Just because Kakkonen maybe's played at a bit of a higher level. Has put up a little bit better numbers over the last few seasons. So good to have him back in the fold, even just as insurance in case there's an injury. God forbid Hellebuck never gets hurt, but just kind of gives the organization a little bit more depth at the goaltending position. At the moment, we had Thomas Milic and Dominic DiVicentis, both first, second-year pros for the Manitoba Moose. So having Kakkonen down there, gives the Moose a little bit more experience. Lets those younger guys, play with more established netminder as they look to kind of build up their pro game. And I think there's a decent chance, that Thomas Milic or DiVicentis could become the Jets' backup goalie in a couple of years behind Hellebuck. That's, I think, what the Jets organization's hoping for, and I think they're hoping that eventually one of them, eventually becomes the Jets' starting goalie, after Connor Hellebuck's, big contract's up and his career ends. So I think getting Kakkonen back on waivers was good. Let's see what he does down in the Moose. He didn't play super well in Colorado and with the Colorado Eagles AHL team, but let's see what he does with the Moose, and if he puts up some good numbers, you never know. Maybe he finds the crease in Winnipeg. Hopefully not because of injury. So let's get over now to the next third period here. Let's hit another ad read while we're at it. Game on Winnipeg, which cold. I got a cold. So Game on Winnipeg, which we have not seen yet this season, which I've been doing these ad reads for Game on Winnipeg since the opening night. We have it on all the other, I think, Canadian markets here with the Game Over Network, but not Winnipeg yet. So Game Over, which you're watching right now, that has you covered after the game. But in order to get ready to watch the Jets, you've got to get your Game On too. So Game On Winnipeg is a short-form daily news podcast covering everything you need to know about the Winnipeg Jets. Debuting soon, get all of your Jets news in under 10 minutes, Monday through Friday on the Game Over Winnipeg YouTube channel and in podcast form, which you can find at thegameovernetwork.com/pages/Winnipeg. I'm going to the chat once again. Still no messages in the chat. Still nobody. We got, I think, 1 or 2 viewers. If you're out there, please send a message, or don't, whatever. It's all good. let us know your thoughts on the game. Yeah, it's always fun kind of doing these shows alone. I'm just kind of talking to myself in front of the camera here. I guess as we go to the third period here of the Jets Lightning post game show. So we'll talk maybe a little bit about the season to date, kind of what I'm seeing. I wanted to give again some more credit to Tampa Bay, full marks for the win tonight. Obviously the Jets, you cannot win them all. But as I said kind of on the beginning of the show, it's like the Jets aren't going to win every game. But if this is how they play in a loss, in a losing effort, I think you're pretty happy with that. If this is, we're not getting blown out, like we're not playing like horrible. I felt like we weren't really getting the bounces, we weren't really getting the puck luck this game, and then special teams, like the power play let us down a bit. We went over 3 or over 4 on the power play, and that was kind of it. So as long as the power play gets back firing, next game or whatever. Obviously, we're not going to be maintaining that 46% power play conversion, but if we can kind of get a power play goal against Florida, this weekend, I think that's all good. Numbers wise this season, obviously, when a team is 15-2 to start the season, you're going to be scoring. You're going to be scoring lots, and that's kind of what you're seeing in Winnipeg. Like just looking through like the the hockey DB, like I guess in Winnipeg we're not used to seeing players that are scoring at above a point per game clip. What we usually have maybe Kyle Connor or Mark Scheifele, but other than that, it's usually pretty sparse. So it's nice to see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players that are shooting at a point per game or scoring at a point per game or more pace. That's Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Nikolai Ehlers, Josh Morrissey, and Neil Pionk, who's got 17 points in 17 games, and he's probably making a lot of fantasy hockey players' lives a little easier this year if they have Neil Pionk on their team. I do not, across my 6 leagues that I'm in, but I'm touching a lot of the Jets in my fantasy. I got Kyle Connor in a couple, I got Scheifele, I got Ehlers in a couple, I got Morrissey, Velarde, I got Niederreiter, and of course I got Connor Hellebuck between the pipes, and he's been just a dynamite fantasy goalie. When you're 12-1 with a .934 save percentage. So the Jets doing so well to start the season has put me in the top 2 or top 3 of about 5 of the 6 leagues that I'm in to start the year, which has definitely been nice. Let's see if we maintain this this play, but it's been great to see. I think Scott Arniel's talked a lot this year about winning in different ways. I think you could point to any of the lines, you could point to any of the players on this Jets team, and they'll have had their footprint on the game, in different ways. This isn't a case of Connor Hellebuck having to steal every single night for the Jets. This isn't a case of the first line having to carry the workload, the scoring load. The Jets are kind of spreading things out evenly. It seems like more so than ever, the Jets are kind of running 4 lines. Maybe obviously the 4th line doesn't play as much as the other lines, but the 4th line is playing more. You're seeing Scott Arniel more confident, more trustworthy of the players on the 4th line, which I think is boosted by the strong play of players like Alex Iafallo and Rasmus Kupari to start the season, who have both been great. And Morgan Barron, he's kind of playing his role. I think he only has 1 assist in 17 games, but he's what you get from Morgan Barron. He's a sturdy, strong 3rd, 4th liner. He's playing well. So up and down the lineup, the Jets are really showing their depth. They're really showing that that they can kind of beat you in different ways. Having the best 3rd line that plays 2nd line minutes, Lowry, Niederreiter, Appleton helps. You see them a lot shutting down the other team's top lines, and they end up outscoring that other team's top line. It seems like they've been fantastic. Niederreiter's been Kind of scoring like his old self, like he was back in his, Minnesota, Carolina days, which is great to see. You're seeing Mason Appleton's got 10 points in 17 games. Lowry's got 12 points in 17. So does Nino. And then the second line, who maybe some people thought that they were maybe going to be some question marks, coming into this year. Can Vladdy Nemesnikov be the second line center? There were a lot of people that wanted Brad Lambert, playing there, and me included. I still hope Brad Lambert can get his call up to the NHL sooner than later this season. But that line's been pretty good most nights. They started off a little slow to start the year, but the Ehlers, Nemesnikov, Perfetti line have been scoring at a torrid pace. Ehlers has 20 points in 17 games. Vladdy's got 12 points in 17, and Cole Perfetti's got 13 points. They're usually they're a line that plays maybe a little more sheltered minutes than the first line and the third line, but they've been doing well. Tonight was not their night, no doubt about that. But they've been doing very well this year, as has of course Connor Scheifele, Velarde. Velarde's 8-game point streak was snapped tonight. 5-on-5, Connor Scheifele, Velarde did not have a great game, but I totally expect them to kind of get it back going for Florida this weekend, or at least when they come back home for Tuesday. And Tuesday night's game, I believe, is the Canada Life Center's 20-year celebration night, as they opened in 2004. So that'd be 20 years. I will be going to that game. And I believe the first 5,000 fans in attendance on Tuesday will get a Canada Life Center commemorative coin. So if you're going, I guess try to go a little bit early to get that. Our defense, I'm not going to get into the defense too much, but Hayden Fleury, I think, is kind of performing admirably in Logan Stanley's absence. I saw him kind of getting into the mix, quite a little bit tonight in the last game. Curious to see when Ville Heinola is going to get into a game. I don't anticipate it being on this road trip, but possibly on Tuesday or later next week. Seems like an option if his depending how he's feeling on the ice. I know he's not in a non-contact. He's in a full contact jersey now, so depending on the touches that he's getting in practice and the pregame skates, I'd like to see him get into a game sooner than later, because this is kind of his year. This is kind of Ville Heinola's year, because he can't be sent down to the Moose. I believe he can for a conditioning stint, but he can't be permanently placed on the Moose this year without going through waivers. And if we do put him on waivers, we're going to lose him. That's pretty much no ways about that. Ville Heinola has kind of paid his dues in the minor leagues, and it's Ville's time to get some NHL time and get a little bit of a runway. A 10 game runway, and see what he can do. Something that he has not been given so far in his NHL tenure. We'll go to overtime as I hit another ad read. Let's put the merch up on the screen. Yeah, there's the merch. We got the QR code, we got the hoodie, we got everything. Yeah. So what better way to support something you love than by rocking it as clothing? Game Over's apparel line has dropped with 3 unique designs. Whether you feel the nostalgic pull of our retro skater design, want to make a statement with our established design, which is currently on sale, want to wear your love for goalies proudly with our Live and Die by the Goalie design, or if you just need another coffee to get you through the winter, we have mugs. We have you covered. Designed by Brady Chalice from Game Over Winnipeg, use the QR code on stream now and take a look through our apparel store and help us rebuild local sports media in Canada while repping your community. It looks, the apparel is very nice. I can't wait to kind of get my hands on that. I've been wanting to place in order for a while. I haven't done so yet. Maybe I'll knock off some holiday shopping and get some family members, maybe my brother, some Game Over apparel. So please check it out. We'll get that off the screen now. There we go. Nothing in the chat tonight, guys. As per usual, here on the Game Over Winnipeg Network, we got nobody watching, nobody chatting. I know we got some competition maybe with other post-game shows. We're still kind of growing this page. So yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that. We will be back here Saturday. We'll be back here Saturday night. The Jets play at 6 o'clock local on the road against the Florida Panthers. I believe that game's on Sportsnet. So we will be back here following that game against the Florida Panthers, where the Jets will hopefully make it 16-2 and get back in the win column against the reigning Stanley Cup champions, against Paul Maurice, against the star-studded Florida Panthers lineup. So you can join myself. I'll be back after the game here on the Winnipeg Game Over YouTube page. We hope to see you there. So signing off. Take care, guys. Have a good night, and we'll see you on Saturday. Peace.